President Biden is hosting South Korea's president at the White House today. The leaders will reinforce their partnership and discuss new commitments on nuclear strategy. And tonight, President Biden will hold a rare state dinner. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is joining us now from the White House. Nancy, you could see things are getting going there. Why is this trip from the South Korean president to the White House and this state dinner so significant?
It's significant because it is rare indeed, Vlad. It's only the second state visit during President Biden's tenure. The first was Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, last year. And they've really pulled out all the stops for the South Korean president. You can see, obviously, the troops behind me, representatives of all 5 branches of the U.S. military. What you can't see is the thousands of people who are gathered on the other side of the fence here on the South Lawn to greet the South Korean president. So really a show of welcome. Obviously, you're hearing the Marine Corps band start up now as well. So President Biden, the First Lady, will be greeting the South Korean president and the First Lady of South Korea here. They will hold meetings. There will be a formal press conference in the Rose Garden later today, and of course, a state dinner. The first state dinner of the Biden presidency that is actually taking place inside the White House. The state dinner that we saw last year for Macron was held in a tent outside, in part because of lingering concerns about coronavirus.
So recently, leaked classified documents suggested that the U.S. was spying on South Korea. I mean, I don't think anyone was stunned by this news, but perhaps it's made things a little awkward.
No question. I mean, it was definitely a cause for a sticky diplomatic moment there, not because any of our allies are surprised that the U.S. spies on them or vice versa. But in this case, it was a particularly sensitive conversation between South Korean officials that was revealed. They were talking about the possibility of the U.S. buying munitions from South Korea and how they could possibly get around laws in South Korea that prohibit the South Koreans from selling those kinds of weapons during a time of war. And so it definitely caused the South Korean president, President Yoon, to get some uncomfortable questions from reporters there in South Korea. So, that's part of the backdrop here. But the reality is that these two countries are making a very public show of their increasing bond for a couple of reasons. First of all, because North Korea has done more nuclear tests this year than in any previous year. And that's of growing concern to South Korea, which is not a nuclear country. And so today they're going to be announcing new military exercises that the U.S. and South Korea will be doing with one another. They'll be announcing that the U.S. is going to send a nuclear submarine temporarily to South Korea, all in a show of force, not just to Kim Jong-un in North Korea, but also to China as well, to send a message that these two countries are strong allies and that the U.S. is going to continue to work on its alliances, not just with South Korea, but with other countries in Asia, like Australia, India, Japan, countries that the president will be visiting next month.
Let's talk about Korean-American chef Edward Lee, Nancy, who is helping to prepare the state dinner. What have you heard is on the menu? Have you gotten one of those, preview menu cards yet?
I have gotten the menu, and it is really a fusion of both traditional American cuisine with some traditional South Korean flavors as well. Edward Lee, a celebrity chef, James Beard Award winner, worked very closely with the White House on this menu. And you're going to see some really interesting touches at this state dinner that are nods to both South Korean culture and American culture. The guests will be dining under cherry blossom branches, and the entire decor has been designed to try to sort of honor South Korean traditions and culture. And there will be Broadway performances at the end of the dinner, so they're really pulling out all the stops for the South Korean president and his wife tonight.
Wow.
Man, that food looks good.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
He said that his mom's finally proud of him.
Don't we all wish we were invited?
I
Yes,
know. And so let's talk about the politics of it all. How are Democratic and Republican politicians reacting to the news that President Biden is relaunching his election? Oh, maybe Nancy can't.
I'm not sure if Nancy can hear us.
Oh.
Can you hear us, Nancy?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Sorry, you're back.
All
Yes.
right. So just wanted to get, what are you hearing reaction to President Biden's announcement that he's running again in 24?
The Democrats are pretty quickly closing ranks around this president. It was a big surprise that Bernie Sanders, who obviously ran against President Biden in 2020 and hadn't ruled out the possibility of running again, was one of the first to come out and endorse the Biden-Harris ticket yesterday, to say that it's just so important to prevent someone like Donald Trump from retaking the presidency. And Democrats are aware that they've got a bit of an issue when it comes to enthusiasm. Our own polls just this week reflect that among Democrats who, maybe don't have anything against President Biden personally, but who overwhelmingly, the ones who think that he shouldn't run again, say that because they think that his age is a factor. He would be 86 at the end of a second term. So I think you're seeing the Democratic Party trying to show as much support and enthusiasm in these early days to try to improve those enthusiasm numbers. And the Biden campaign itself, the nascent Biden campaign, isn't wasting any time. It's also airing its first ads today. It actually purchased those ads last night after the president's announcement. So anybody who was enjoying a respite from political ads across the country over the past year or so, well, they are back, particularly in battleground states.
Oh boy, I know that last time around my daughter was exhausted. She could rattle off the scripts for all of these ads off by heart. Nancy, thank you very much. Here we go again.